Welcome back to Anti-Societal. Here, we don't just summarize books, we understand them. Today, we're going to talk about a small book that offers a solution to a very big problem: lack of confidence. It's that feeling that stops us from moving forward, like there are invisible chains on our feet. It's the wall we often build ourselves in our own path. Before starting this journey, let's pause for a moment and think. Where do we feel this feeling the most? Is it at the office, right before a presentation when your heart is beating fast? Or at a family gathering when a relative criticizes your decision about a job or marriage and suddenly you can't even get the words out? Or when you have to make a big decision and your mind is full of confusion, thinking, what if something goes wrong? This feeling, this inner struggle, is familiar to all of us. So where is the root of this problem? The book says the problem of confidence is not outside, it's inside us. Yes, it's a battle that is constantly happening in our mind. There are two voices continuously fighting for control. The author of the book, Dr. Susan Jeffers, calls them lower self and higher self. Let's understand them. The lower self is the voice that speaks the language of fear, doubt, anger, and helplessness. It's always worried. It says, you can't do this. What will people say? If you fail, everyone will laugh at you. On the other side, there's a calm voice, the voice of the higher self. This voice speaks the language of happiness, peace, strength, and love. It says, you can do it. What's the harm in trying? Whatever the result, you'll definitely learn something. Think about it. When someone's going for a job interview, the lower self is shouting, you're not prepared, other people are better than you. While the higher self quietly says, you worked hard, just give your best. The peace in life depends on which voice we choose to listen to. Now, who is saying all this? This is Dr. Susan Jeffers, an American psychologist who spent her entire life trying to understand just one thing: fear. Her most famous book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, has changed the lives of millions of people around the world. And this small book is like a drop from that vast ocean, a guide you can carry in your pocket so it can show you the way during difficult times. So how do we win this inner battle? Dr. Jeffers says the first step has to be taken inside, not outside, by changing our thinking and our perspective. From here, she gives us some basic principles that can change our entire reality. Her first principle is very simple, but very deep. She says, instead of seeing life's difficulties as problems, see them as opportunities that open doors for growth. For example, if you lose your job, it's not just a problem, it's an opportunity to ask, was that really the work I wanted to do? If a relationship ends, it's an opportunity to understand yourself better. Once you understand this point, the rest of the journey becomes easier. To take this idea deeper, she introduces something called the no-lose model. This means that in any decision, there is no real loss. Why? Because on every path, whether it turns out right or wrong, you learn something. So there are only two outcomes: you win or you learn. This way of thinking changes everything. The fear of making mistakes is half the problem. The purpose of this model is to reduce the fear that stops us from making decisions. But here we should pause and reflect. In our society, where career and marriage decisions are often seen as all or nothing, the no-lose model may seem strange. Parents often say, if you get a good job once, life is set. If you marry the wrong person, life is ruined. But it's important to understand something here, something people rarely explain. The book does not say that failure cannot happen. Failure can absolutely happen, but the book says you can always learn from it. Some people misunderstand this concept and become careless, but this idea is not meant to make you careless, it's meant to make you brave. Its purpose is to reduce the paralyzing fear that prevents us from moving forward. Now, once the foundation of thinking becomes right, Once we start seeing everything as a learning opportunity, the next stage is taking control of our lives. It means taking back our power. Dr. Jeffers says very few people shape their lives the way a sculptor shapes a statue. Most people simply accept whatever comes their way and then keep complaining about it. Her point is, don't live as a victim. We often say, my circumstances are bad, my luck isn't good. But these statements give power to outside forces. Shaping your life means accepting that you have power and you have choices, even if they're small. Instead of complaining, take one small step. That's where life begins to change. To take this power back, the book gives a very practical tool. 3 powerful words. I'll handle it. Whenever your mind starts asking what-if questions, what if the interview doesn't go well? What if they reject the marriage proposal? What if the business fails? The answer is simply, I'll handle it. This sentence creates a strange sense of peace inside because it reminds us that we have the ability to deal with whatever happens. But there's an important point here. I'll handle it does not mean that you can prevent every problem. That would be foolish. It simply means that when difficulty comes, you trust your ability to respond to it. External situations are not always in our control, but our internal response is. And that's where real change begins. Now we come to the heart of the book, its most important lesson. The book says we have misunderstood fear. Fear is not a signal to stop, it's proof that we are alive. It's natural and necessary. Whenever we do something new, something that can move us forward, fear is inevitable. Fear simply means we're stepping outside our comfort zone. So fear is not an enemy. It's a compass for growth, showing us that we're on the right path. And then she says her most famous line, the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it. Action is the cure for fear. You can't wait for fear to disappear, because it never will. You have to move forward with fear. So how do we apply this? The process is simple. Step 1, accept the fear. Don't fight it. Just say to yourself, yes, I feel afraid, and that's normal. Step 2, take a very small step, so small that your mind doesn't see it as a threat. For example, if you're afraid of public speaking, don't immediately give a speech on stage. Just decide that tomorrow you will stand in front of a mirror and say 2 sentences. That's it. Step 3, repeat the process. Confidence is not built with one big leap. It's built with small steps taken every day. But the book adds an important condition. Do not take foolish risks. There's a difference between courage and recklessness. If you don't know how to swim, jumping into the deep ocean to face your fear is not courage, it's stupidity. Courage means joining a swimming class even if you're afraid of water. Always take smart risks where the damage is limited. Now, in this context, I would like to share a personal experience. This is not a story, just a feeling that became deeper after reading this book. My experience says confidence does not come before action. We often think, when I feel confident, then I'll do it. But the reality is the opposite. Confidence is the reward that comes after action, especially when you act despite fear. That small victory, the feeling that yes, I did it, that's real confidence. Confidence is not the destination, it's the result of the journey. So what's the final takeaway from today's discussion? If you remember only one thing from this book, it should be this. The inner battle is not won by eliminating fear. It's won by accepting fear as a companion and learning to act with it. Fear is a companion, not a barrier. So how do we apply this teaching? Here's a small task for this week. Identify one small, safe task that you've been avoiding because of fear. For example, calling an old friend, opening your resume. You don't have to do the task yet. Just decide what the smallest first step would be. That's it. This first step is very powerful. And as always, remember, real growth begins when we apply what we learn in our lives. If you want to understand life-changing books in depth like this one, subscribe to Anti-Societal. Until next time, take care of yourself.